So as long as I'm making ranting videos instead of lifting videos, maybe I will lift in this video. Who knows? Um, I wanted to talk about my ADHD diagnosis and medication experience in Japan. Largely, I have suffered the same fate that other women, non-binary, transgender, and minority people face when trying to get diagnosed when the ADHD DSM was written with a specific male young boy in mind. Taking the tests was awful, but anyways, so like my experience, in timeline order, would be getting rejected several times at different clinics, and then having at least one clinic finally listen to me. And the only reason this doctor, listened to me in the first place was because she was a female doctor. That's the only reason I can think of, because all of the other psychiatrists that have treated me badly in Japan are not even psychiatrists only, like gynecologists, general practitioners. Every male doctor that I've had in Japan has been awful. But anyways, so she finally believed me and decided to try and diagnose me. Except the test is not available to people in different languages. It's only available in Japanese. Which, I mean, I live in Japan. It's kind of a given that some of these struggles are bound to happen. But okay, so I am fluent in Japanese, I said. So I will take the test in Japanese. And she said, okay, fine, but we don't have it at this clinic. You have to go to this other clinic. So I went to this other clinic, and there the physician or the person testing me was male. So then I come across a different wall again. The tests were exasperating. Like, I had to sit hours still, answering questionnaires and answering questions, making intelligence tests, writing, building puzzles. Like, for an ADHD person to sit still for that much time without frustration, it's extremely difficult. And then when I showed this frustration, I was faced with doubt. Doubt in the way that, like, oh, you're just pretending for the diagnosis to be easier. Or, like, oh, maybe you're just struggling because the test is in Japanese. No, like, I have these issues in any language. Like, some of the problems, for example, were math questions. And I have a PhD in engineering. I excelled at math, but only when it's written down and when I have control of the variables. I actually did better in algebra when I was in, say, middle school and high school than I did with arithmetic when I was like in elementary school and such. And the reason is I suspect I have a little bit of dyscalculia. And what happens is the numbers, they just don't stay. Variables are fine because they're words or letters or whatever. So what happens is, like, this person would present a long variable math problem, and I could not retain the information. For the life of me, I have no idea what the initial number was. And I know I have to make a division somewhere here, but I have no idea what I'm dividing the number by or whatever. There's a bunch of operations that just get lost on me because of the memory retention. And this doctor started to suspect that it was due to my Japanese abilities, which is not. I'm fluent in Japanese. So I would ask for repetition of the problem, and I would hope that me actually stating this out loud, like, this happens to me in English too, this happens to me in Spanish and in any language, I just can't retain information when it's given to me in a long manner. Ironic, since I'm prone to rant. Basically, me giving them this information outright wasn't enough to convince them that it's not because of the Japanese. People don't believe me when I tell them my symptoms. People don't believe me when I say I struggle with executive dysfunction, which is exactly, or like executive paralysis, which is exactly why I was looking for the diagnosis, right? Because like the ADHD was affecting me in such a level that it's not funny anymore. It's not like, oh, I'm kind of quirky online. No, I was struggling to eat and to cook and to actually work, and not only just be a productive member of society, which capitalism, dystopian, but to like enjoy my own day, like to actually get out of the house and do stuff, even when I have a fucking weekend and like a free day. So yeah, I was struggling with that. And then finally I get the test back to my original psychiatrist. Luckily, she hears my concerns about the testing, and she actually diagnosed me, finally. Oof. Diagnosed ADHD. I fought for years for this diagnosis. And then she tells me she can only diagnose me and I can't give you the medicine you need. So if you want that, you can wait a little bit and see how the diagnosis help you, and then go to a different clinic, get a recommendation, and then get access to the medicine, right? I am faced with another male doctor in this other clinic for the medicine, and he's outright, with the test in hand, with the results, with the diagnosis in hand, tells me that I don't have it hard enough, that I shouldn't be struggling this hard from my ADHD, and that like maybe the diagnosis isn't even true. And I'm like trying so hard to not strangle this guy. Like so hard. I fought years for this diagnosis, and now you're telling me you don't believe me even with the diagnosis. Eventually I was stern enough and told him about my daily sufferings that he said, okay, let's get started on the medication. Again, hours of my day lost on waiting and being interrogated just to get access to this, which, I mean, the Concerta is a regulated medication. I understand the reasoning behind the regulation, but like, again, this is really inaccessible. It's like having a person on a wheelchair try to climb stairs just to apply for a disability. It's ridiculous that we have to subject ourselves just to the suffering just to get the help that we need. It's a system entirely built upon the inconvenience, just to deter people who are trying to to take advantage of it. But like, we are suffering for it. I was telling this metaphor to a different person the other day, where it's as if suddenly one day you decide that there's some children playing with sticks outside, so therefore sticks are banned, and suddenly all the people who use canes that aren't diagnosed can't use canes anymore. And to get access to a cane, they have to climb 3 floors of stairs. Like, okay. Anyway, so I get medication, and immediately my reaction is suddenly I can do things. Suddenly the day being long makes sense. Like the time doesn't just go by flying, and that brings me to actually be able to do chores, to actually be able to eat without falling asleep, which was a problem I had. My health, my eating dysregulation was bad enough that like I had some spikes on. I fell asleep every time I ate. That doesn't happen to me anymore, and I'm so happy about it. It's still uncomfortable to eat anyways, but anyways. So I can do chores and I can actually work and have time to post online again. Whoa! I wasn't doing that anymore. And what ends up happening is I have enough time to reflect and to think about all the things that were angering me about this treatment. How did I not have this for this long? Why can I only get treated until I'm 28? But also, now that I have all this time available, I also have this time to feel lonely, to feel disconnected from people from my community. I survived an abusive relationship and I had to cut all my ties to a bunch of people. I moved places, I uprooted my entire life, and now I'm here. And now I have the time to actually sit with my feelings. And yes, that will lead to healing, but it's incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard, and it's something I didn't expect coming with medication. I just thought like, oh, life will get slightly easier. Yeah, and also processing gets more it gets put on front of the like, processing trauma is now something that I not only have time to do, but like I'm forced to process the trauma now. So yeah, ADHD medication, unexpected side effect. Yeah. I'm running out of time. Bye.